Earth to Mars has now been confirmed that we can do that with people well enough. And now the next stage will be how can we go from waiting in Mars for a while, and if we are really sorry, waiting on the
On
moon
the
for a
moon,
while,
yeah.
and if we are really comfortable there, then I will start planning from moon to Mars. Is that
Yeah.
the approach?
So
Okay.
basically, yes, let's get to the moon. Then let's see if we can get resources from the moon for fuel and then for keeping the human being alive to Mars, so that they don't need to take so much load from here to Earth, because one, we are having gravity working against us. So you would spend more fuel to be able to take more load there. But then on the moon, it would be easier and then cheaper. So those who are going, if we can get to the moon, we can also be able to mine resources over there and then use that to propel us to Mars, which makes the mission less expensive and then better for us.
What sort of resources will we need from the moon? Because all we ever hear from the moon is, some moon rock, which we have like sitting at the museum, and it's like all you hear is moon rock and moon dust. So what resources could we be looking for on the moon?
Most importantly, water. Most importantly, water. So, uh, water didn't, let's say we normally see water mostly in the liquid form, but then in space it comes out as ice. So it is research has shown that in the southern pole or the south pole of the moon, there is some form of water ice there. So the plan is to be able to go and mine it and then use it for fuel and then water resources, which would help us, because human beings, we depend on water mostly. So we would need that amount of water to be able to go for long distance, about let's say 2 3 months journeys to Mars. So that
Yeah.
is what they are looking at. Yeah.
Right, nice, nice. Yeah, this idea of water being the resource, it's very interesting because many are not aware that you can actually use water for fuel, and that's why you're saying that it needs to be mined.
Yeah.
So could you just touch on it a little bit, just so we are all on the same science level? One, how is water used for fuel? And two, if water can be used for fuel, why can't I just go down to the Kolibu beach and go and fetch some seawater and that's my fuel sorted out? Why are we not using it on Earth as a fuel source and but we are planning on using it for the space missions? Yeah.
Okay, so one is when we split water between when we water is made up of hydrogen molecules and then oxygen molecules. So once we can split it, then that means that we can get energy out of it. Now, if we tend to even burn the hydrogen alone, that's also some amount of energy for us. Then the other aspect of oxygen, because now the human being also need to breathe oxygen. So now when you split it between the hydrogen and then the oxygen, you now have oxygen as well for people to utilize and then use the hydrogen as fuel to for it wasn't for your transportation. Yeah.
Okay, all right, that's great. So I think we're set now. There's a plan to get us there, get resources so we can go. Is there any other sort of like science sort of experiments that's going on? I know because of the zero gravity in space and some stuff to do with radiation, there's usually plans to take advantage and carry out some experiments. Do we have anything like that happening this
Yeah,
time
a lot
around
of
as well?
experiments happen in the case that they are trying to see how the human being would happen. For a long time, we've not gone to deep space. So most of the time, those who are in the ISS and what we call the lower Earth orbit. So they are not one beyond they are within the magnetic field or the protection zone of the Earth's magnetic field. So the radiation which is impacted on them, it's quite less than what you would experience if you go beyond that. So this is the opportunity where we had to now go beyond that protective zone and then see how much radiation is impacted. So those who went had their, I think, bone marrows, picked some part of their bone marrows and exposed it to radiations, and then the results will be tested to see what happened or how it responded to that. There are measurements to see how much radiation was they were kept to, now they were exposed to. Now you also have it that they used a different system. The Apollo missions took 3 people, but this time it was 4 people. So that means that the forces which are acting upon them would be greater. So you notice that they had to use even a different entry technique for
Mm.
re-entry onto Earth, maybe when that question comes up. So that shows that like the forces which are acting upon them is quite different from what we had in terms of the Apollo missions. Now, lifestyles have also changed over the years. So you want to also be sure that the data you have is enough to protect the people you are sending, because you don't want to get out there and then the person you have some form of emergencies, especially health ones. So all these experiments are there with respect to the human ones. Then you are also looking at in terms of let's say food. They are taking food along. What is happening to their food? Would it be able to would it change tastes? Would it would it be okay for them? How are they going to? So those of you who kept on watching the live stream, you realize at a certain point they had a problem with their toilet or their bathroom, which they refer to as the Wolowitz, is it the conundrum or something, because of Big Bang Theory. So
Yeah.
you tend to want to anticipate some of these issues where, because once they move out of the lower Earth orbit, they can't return until they finish
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
trip. So now you don't want to have issues where now you are thinking of aborting. What are the challenges of all that? So these are some of the challenges, and those experiments were going to be carried out, and those results are going to be shared with mostly scientists who are in that field, or scientists who are within the who have corporations with data sharing.
Will they send you some of the results? I did send you some. No.
Okay, at least I am working with some people from the was it in US, and then some people in Leeds. So at least we might get to see
You
some
see
of the
some of the
results.
results. Okay,
Yeah,
all
you
right.
might
That was
see
very
the
exciting. Please, well, when you do come, yeah, come share with us so that we feel
no
like
problem.
we are in the inside club. Speaking of inside club, so there of the four that went, there were Americans and Canadian. And of course, in the past, we've had, I think, Russia, China, India. Although their ships to the moon were unmanned, is that correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, all right, great. So now, of the countries I've mentioned, I'm not seeing any African country. Um, how do you feel about our prospects in terms of getting involved in, I guess, what is largely considered a space